Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth podcast. I'm Anish Gupta.
I'm Jack Smith.
I'm Carr.
So today is our weekly recap, and this recap is for Week 5. Obviously, we're doing it a little bit later because of the Bills-Titans game, which occurred on Tuesday, the day we're recording this. I think, it's already been 5 weeks in. I think it's just crazy to think about that. And obviously, follow our socials down below, so I don't want to say it at the end of the video. Just be sure to follow us, do all that you can. But I'll get right into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is Dak Prescott. And before I kind of get into it, dude, prayers up for him. He's had one of the worst years I think ever imaginable. Worst couple of years, in fact. He's lost his mom due to cancer, I believe. Brother committed suicide. And basically on the verge of a long-term deal. He was viewed as one of the most durable quarterbacks in this league. Never missed a game. And one of the most gruesome injuries I think I've ever seen on live television. It was very bad. And you could see it in his emotions. He knew that pretty much the season was over, and Cowboy Nation was very heartbroken. So I'll let Jack kind of start us off. What were your initial reactions to Dak Prescott's season-ending injury?
Yeah, I just feel so bad for him because last year and this offseason, he really bet on himself. He knew what kind of a quarterback he was, and he went out to prove it last year. And statistically, he did. Win-wise, didn't really follow, but he bet on himself again, and the Cowboys put him on the franchise tag, and I feel so terrible for him because he lost this entire season where he doesn't have a full deal, and he's going to get a lot less than what he would have gotten last offseason. He bet on himself. He was really proving it. He looked like the best statistical quarterback in the league.
He was on pace for
5K. Yeah.
He was on pace for 6K.
Yeah, he was on pace for 6K.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel so bad for him because it's just a freak accident, a freak injury, really ruining his season where he bet on himself and he was proving himself right. He was going to get paid, whether that was by the Cowboys or by someone else. And he probably still will get a deal. We'll see if the Cowboys are loyal to him. I have my doubts, but he was betting on himself. This freak injury happened, and I just feel so bad for him.
Yeah. Of course, first off, prayers for Dak Prescott. He's an extremely good guy. I remember week 2 when Hayden Hurst went up to Dak and, with him advocating for mental health and all this stuff, he's just an extremely good guy. And really, for both sides, the amount of solutions to like the big question of what happens to Dak here is just endless, because Andy Dalton could come in. He could play at a Pro Bowl level. We've seen it before. And, the Cowboys could see him as that bridge quarterback for the future, or he could just bomb completely. And, the Dallas already has a horrendous defense, so maybe that puts them in position to get Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, maybe Trey Lance. But look, if you were to sign Dak to a deal, I think it's a 2-year prove-it deal, bunch of incentives, but really...
Wow, you think the injury is that serious?
Yeah, but really it just comes down to what Dak thinks, because he could easily just say, screw it, you're devaluing me still, and I'm just going to take a chance on the market. But really, time's only going to tell.
Well, here's the thing. I think the first thing is the Cowboys essentially bet against him, and they won. That's how you basically look at it. I mean, that's why a lot of players hate the franchise tag, and you see all these former players on, especially analysts, when they talk about it, they hate the franchise tag because obviously as a player, you want your long-term security, but NFL teams can basically finesse you and say, hey, you got to prove it to us, right? And the Cowboys, as much as I hate to say it, they won the argument. I think they won this long, overdue battle between the two. I've seen people talk about it for over a year now, right? Ever since the 2019 offseason. And it sucks, but the Cowboys did win it, and not the way they would have wanted to. Obviously, you don't want to lose your franchise quarterback like that. And the thing is, he's never missed a game, so this is new territory for him. He's arguably been the most durable quarterback the last 4 years. I can't really think of anyone more, right? And we've had a lot of these comparisons with Dak or Wentz, and I've heard Jack say, well, one of the most important abilities is availability, right? So, and he has that. I think looking into the future for Dak Prescott, there's a lot of teams that could sign him. A lot of teams that are looking for a quarterback, and he's got the legs when he needs to. He's got one of the best arms in the league. He's very smart. He makes good reads. Not that many turnovers, and you know what? I don't blame a lot of their losses on him, but obviously there are times where he messes up. But he's still young, so I think that's all I really got to say on Dak Prescott. The Cowboys, maybe on the outlook of the Cowboys. Again, this division is still up in the air, and you know what? That's why you got Andy Dalton. Obviously, in 2015, he was an MVP candidate for a lot of the year. So let's see how he does. I mean, that connection to Michael Gallup was looking pretty good. He led a game-winning drive, so got to give him credit there. Albeit it was against the Giants, but this division is wide open. I mean, it's still wide open, though. I mean, Philly could win it. I think now Philly would be a little bit more favored to win it just because they hung with Pittsburgh pretty well. And again, I trust Carson Wentz more than Andy Dalton or any quarterback in that division. So let's see how it goes, especially with this Cowboys defense. But yeah, that's basically my take on it.
And I was about to say, oh, my bad.
No, you go.
Just a quick thing. I was about to say the injury reminds me of Gordon Hayward in the NBA. The situation reminds me of Earl Thomas in the NFL. So it's just going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
Yeah, and I think that going into where they go from here, 2 quick questions I want to hear you guys both answer. If Dak Prescott does not sign with the Cowboys this offseason, where is his biggest fit? And if you are the Cowboys and do not sign Dak Prescott, what is your next move at quarterback? Anish?
So, interesting one would be maybe Chicago, and another interesting one would be New Orleans after Drew Brees. Those are 2 that I could see. Maybe even Pittsburgh after Big Ben.
After Big Ben, yeah.
So those are 3. Another one, dark horse. Sorry, I know I'm getting a lot of them, but San Francisco. I mean, especially what went down. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on the show, but hey, I mean, could it be? Those are my things. And then you said, where do the Cowboys go from?
Where do the Cowboys go if they do not re-sign Dak?
So it depends on where they finish in the season. Like Shrikar said, they're not going to be in contention for Lawrence. No way. But Justin Fields, that's a very
Fields or Lance.
Lance could be even interesting too, but he didn't look good in the games that he was at least able to showcase himself. So, and I believe he declared for the draft, so he's got not much else. So let's see with the Cowboys where they go from here, because again, we don't know what Andy Dalton can do, and he's still, he's not old, like old. So he's a veteran, proven guy, and he knows how to win, and he's made the playoffs 5 times. So. Let's see where they go from here, but yeah, that's probably how I would answer it.
And I think my landing spot would probably be Pittsburgh after Big Ben. I do like Chicago as a possible destination. And with the Niners, I mean, you gotta wait. You gotta wait on Jimmy because it was a bad game, but we'll get into it more. But really, it depends on how much Prescott's asking for, because I don't know how much the Niners are going to be willing to give up when they can easily get someone in the draft too, depending on their position. So I'd say Chicago or Pittsburgh would be one of my 2 choices. Where do the Cowboys go from here? As I said before, you offer the 2-year prove-it deal to Dak, and if he doesn't accept that, I'm expecting maybe Trey Lance if he falls. It just depends on draft position, really.
Yeah, I think the problem for the Cowboys is I'm not sure that any of those top 3 quarterbacks will be there. I think that while Trey Lance struggled in his game, I honestly think those 3 go top 12. I really think they do. I believe
Trey Lance in the top 12.
I do.
Trey Lance top 12.
No, teams are going to fall in love with him.
You don't think a Southern quarterback could increase their stock?
I don't know. I mean, like you look at a guy like Kyle Trask, who a lot of people thought he's from Florida, might be the Joe Burrow of this year. Joe Burrow didn't lose a game last year, though, and Kyle Trask just lost. So it's going to be really hard to judge quarterbacks. Yeah. And while we are not going to be able to see Trey Lance play, I believe teams can fall in love with him. For Dak Prescott's fit, I'm going to go with Indy to take over from Phillip Rivers. I think Indy's a perfect fit. I think that they've got some up-and-coming weapons. They've got a good run game now with Jonathan Taylor. They've got Marlon Mack back. Behind that offensive line, that'll be great for Dak, especially coming off an injury.
Yeah. That's a good
and
one.
He has something that he's never really had in in Dallas, which is an elite defense, as the Colts are proving to be this year. So if I'm Dak, that's where I would want to sign if I'm not going to Dallas. But I think to kind of move on to our next big takeaway, and the biggest takeaway, I believe, of the week, Chase Claypool had 4 touchdowns in the game against the Eagles. I mean, wow, I was high on Claypool because I saw him play at Notre Dame, but I didn't know a ton about him. Was not expecting this. I thought he'd be okay. I did not expect 4 touchdowns. What do you guys think of his performance?
Really, the biggest question for me is if he can keep it going on a consistent basis. And no, he's not going to get 4 touchdowns every game, and he's not going to have like this breakout performance every single game. But with how the Steelers are with wide receivers and developing them, I think he'd be a solid option going forward. And as a rookie, this is a statement game, and really he's just proving. I know some people were questionable about why the Steelers would take another receiver, but really I love the move. I love the move to draft him. and he's really proven me right here. So I think with Chase Claypool, I'm hoping to see, because he's probably the wide receiver 3 still on this offense, behind Deontay Johnson and Juju. But look, with how the Steelers can develop wide receivers, I think he's going to be a very dangerous threat going forward.
So here's what I'll say. Okay, first off, I don't know when we talked about Claypool because you guys are acting like you predicted this insane game. But yeah, no, I was talking to my friend Parker about it. Parker was very high on him, guy I know, and kudos to him for at least calling this. I was never a hater on Claypool. I mean, all of us were like, we were neutral on him.
I saw him play one game against USC, torched us, but
yeah, you told me about that one. Yeah, I remember that from you. But yeah, again, I mean, I thought it was a solid pickup. He was one of the top receivers coming into in a loaded draft class, so I was fine with the pick. And the thing is, here's what I'll say though. I'm not doubting him. I'm not hating on him in any way. I'm just going to say the 2 weeks where he's done really well. One, the Eagles secondary is rather depleted, and also Slay was put on Juju Smith-Schuster. And the other week he went off, which was against the Broncos, I believe. AJ Boye shadowed Juju Smith-Schuster. So a little bit of that could be the case. I don't expect this consistency, but again, he's a big play guy. And you know what? It's really weird with the Steelers team. Think about it. We've seen the second receiver, make these big plays. Think about Martavis Bryant, right? All those years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. But Martavis. Then we saw it with Juju, right, 2017 to 2018, and now we're seeing it with Claypool. So remember, we were all talking about who's the wide receiver 1 for this team, who's the receiver 2 for this team, right? That we were all thinking it's between James Washington and Deontay Johnson for that receiver 2, and we're all questioning if Juju Smith-Schuster could be that receiver 1. And here's how I look at it: I think Juju Smith-Schuster will draw the attention of the number 1 corner. I think he still will. As much as Claypool just went off this game, I think he still draws the number 1 corner, and I think Claypool will benefit in those matchups. So I think this is a very matchup-based type guy. Not saying he can't be a number 1 receiver, which he definitely can. He showed it. I mean, this dude is very versatile. We're seeing it with guys like Chenault as well. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Lavishka, I think. Chenault. He looks like a gadget guy too. So that's what I'll say about Chase Claypool. Great pickup. I got to give him credit there for Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin and that front office does it again. But yeah, that's what I'll say. I think it's a lot of matchup-based stuff too. But he can definitely become the receiver 1 for this team. But I think right now he's my receiver 2, not receiver 3, in Shriegar's eyes at least.
I think that even on the depth chart, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the Steelers are able to draft and develop wide receivers seemingly with ease. And they really have at any point 3 number 1 wide receivers. They have Deontay Johnson.
Okay,
no. I'm talking about in a single game.
Any receiver can go. 3 receivers can go off in any game.
Exactly.
Fine. I'll give you that.
We've seen games this year where Juju Smith-Schuster is dominated. We've seen games where Deontay Johnson is dominated, and we just saw Chase Claypool dominated. So I mean, it's really pick your poison, and that's with Big Ben. I can't imagine what it would be like if this crew sticks around for their next quarterback.
But does the competition concern you? Right? Like, so for example, like next week similar matchup again. Denzel Ward is probably going to be on Juju Smith-Schuster, and he had a pretty good game against him last time they played. So maybe Claypool goes off against. I mean, Greedy's on IR, so maybe he goes off again. Like this, I think it's a little bit of matchup based. You know what I mean?
No, I think Pittsburgh loves that. I mean, I'm sure Juju will be a little bit upset he can't get his targets and catches, but
I don't think
does he really care? I'm saying
he's not AB.
I'm saying does he really care if they're going to win the game? He does. I mean, I just think Pittsburgh. I don't think they really care about the depth chart and who gets the yards because it's going to happen. I mean, it's really pick your poison and look, you pick one of them and the other one's going to go off. So it's Pittsburgh has developed a great offense and they've shown that they can develop wide receivers. Their wide receiver coach deserves a lot of credit because
but again, does the competition concern you a little bit? Because think about it, their teams that they've played are 3-15-1.
It does, but I mean, there's always, like you said, there's a trend here where the backup wide receivers in Pittsburgh do well. And so I think that when it happens consistently on a year-to-year basis, I'm not concerned about who they're playing.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then moving on to our third takeaway of the week, this was the most unexpected upset of the week. The Chiefs lost a game to Derek Carr and the Raiders, two teams a team me and Anish did not think would be good this year. But really, I mean, did anyone in the world think the Chiefs were going to lose this game? I did not see a single person pick the Raiders, which makes sense because it's the Chiefs. But in Arrowhead
and at home,
with fans. Arrowhead with fans there, the Chiefs drop a game to Derek Carr and the Raiders. Shrikar, why don't you start us off on this one? I know you're going to say you had them going 8-8, so just let us hear.
I won't. I
Yeah,
won't start. I won't start with that actually, because I'll say this: the win was impressive, but I'm not changing my mind at all. Kansas City is still going to win this division. Kansas City is just going to bounce back. But I want to point out the game from Derek Carr because he had one of his best games in years. He threw for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns. But really what we saw was him throwing it downfield. He threw touchdowns of 59. I think he threw a 72-yarder. He had a completion in the first quarter to Henry Ruggs that was deep. And then in the fourth quarter, I think the Raiders were up 30-24. Carr, he was able to buy time. And on 3rd and 18, he found Hunter Renfrow, and that gave him the first down. So I really think this game showed what Derek Carr could potentially become. Because if the Raiders can get Derek Carr to take more chances downfield, that's a game changer. And no, I'm not saying Las Vegas isn't suddenly going 12-4 or challenging for a Super Bowl, but look, I think they could be a wild card team in the AFC. Carr won his first game in Arrowhead after so long, and really, and he did so by kind of changing his risk factor in a way. So I think he'll need to keep it up.
Here's what I'll say, and I know, I mean, when we were in our group chat, these guys were obviously clowning me for my homeboy, and obviously my homeboy lost, and you know what? Fine. I mean, after 13 games in a row, okay, he's going to lose one. But again, you know, when I see people move him down in the power rankings, look, record doesn't mean everything. Oh my God, stop the presses. The Chiefs lost a game for the first time in almost a year. Oh wow. Come on. I mean, they were bound to lose one eventually. Like, okay, that's my one thing. I'm not concerned at all for the Chiefs. Okay, I'll say this. Their defense, though. I mean, you give up 40 like that. Also, Derek Carr, to add on to Srikar's point, he's a guy who's, you know, he throws it short. I mean, even though his yards per attempt is rather higher than you would expect, because his completion percentage is always high because he likes to target those guys for maybe 6 to 8 yard gains. So when I saw him throw it deep a lot, I think it also shows to John Gruden's play style. It's a lot of this air it out, you know, deep like play type things. Like, you know, you're looking for that spark play when you play under John Gruden. That's what he's always tried to do, especially when he did it with Tampa and back with Oakland in the early days. So I think you're seeing a little bit of John Gruden's system rub off on Derek Carr. I think with the Raiders, it's, you know, they're showing us impressive wins against the Saints and the Chiefs, and I think this team is definitely a legit playoff contender. So again, I've said it, like 4 times now. I got to give Srikar props for his pick on the Raiders. He was a lot higher than us two were. I think their schedule is still tough. They've got to play this team again. I think the Chargers aren't an easy out with Justin Herbert. So let's see how they do. Again, but 3-2, this is definitely something to look forward to. This is a thing that a lot of people didn't expect. But also Raiders fans did expect this. So we got to give them props there because their team, like Jack and I said, I thought they were a franchise quarterback away from the playoffs with all the pieces they had. So if Derek Carr can look like a franchise quarterback, then this team can make the playoffs, and that's exactly what he looked like against the Kansas City Chiefs. And say what you want about their defense, even though they gave up 40, they still had playmakers. And that dime to, I think it was Aguilar against Tyrann Mathieu, one of the better deep ball throws I've seen.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that after week 1, I believe they played Carolina. The Raiders, I mean, Josh Jacobs destroyed Carolina, and they looked like they were going to be a run-first team and a run-only team all year. Since that week, it has proven that they're not that. Derek Carr has been dazzling defenses, and it hasn't been all dependent on Josh Jacobs like it seemed like it would be in week 1. So this Raiders team is multidimensional, something that we thought they could be. And it's taken Derek Carr playing well to bring them there, which is something that
O-line playing like a top 3 unit too.
Especially even with Trent Brown, not playing a ton of snaps. Mm-hmm. And then one thing I want to talk about moving forward for the Chiefs is in both of Mahomes' seasons, I believe he has 7 losses, and he has in both seasons lost back-to-back games once. And they play the Bills next week, who are hungry probably off a loss to the Titans. So I'm just going to say, you look forward to our picks episode where we talk about that, but this could be an interesting game, and Mahomes has proven that.
Just curious, guys, has my homeboy ever lost a game by more than a possession?
No, he has not. Well, actually, yes, he has, just now.
No, I thought it was 32-40.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was? Okay.
Yep.
I mean, look,
that's my homeboy.
Then again, I was looking for the stats, and I was wondering if he had lost back-to-back games. It turns out he's done it twice in his limited number of losses, so it's something to look out for.
Yeah.
But talking about losses, Dan Quinn and the Falcons lost another game to fall to 0-5. Unfortunately, it's not for him. It's not Dan Quinn's Falcons anymore, as him and GM Thomas Dimitroff are out. Finally, it seems like Falcons fans have been calling for this for forever, and it took 5 embarrassing losses to start the season for this to happen. What do you guys think of this move, and what happens from here, both for Atlanta, for Quinn, and just overall for this division?
What's crazy to me is Atlanta has the 3rd highest cap commitments in 2021. So they're going to suck. And then got the 3rd highest cap commitments in 2021.
Blunt.
Yeah, it was like, hey, straight to the point, I guess.
Yeah, but look, Julio, he's 31. He's signed through 2023. I think he's going to be dealt this offseason. Matt Ryan could possibly be moved.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan could possibly be moved too. But they made 2 significant moves Sunday. I think more should be coming. This is just going to be an offseason full of turnover for Atlanta. So I'm going to expect to see a lot of change.
I think what's crazy to me is, guys, we're not Falcons fans, but it seems like we're talking about this team every single week.
Right? Yeah.
I promise you guys we will take them out and we'll talk about another team in the recap, because now, I think it's finally gotten to us, like, okay, this team is bad. Like, Jack and I need to stop picking them.
And finally, Quinn is gone.
Yeah. So, again, I was always high on Dan Quinn. I defended him a lot last year. I said, hey, they went 5-2 to finish the year. They've got a lot to look forward to coming in. Really, I don't know what to say. It's just, I think obviously Julio, it's a loss for sure, but I'm still under the impression that receivers don't have as importance as running backs. And you see it with Calvin Ridley. He's really established himself really well in that system. So, and another thing with Atlanta is, what are their young pieces to really look forward to? Can you tell? I haven't really noticed.
I said this a couple weeks ago, and you said,
exactly.
no, they've got some young pieces.
I agreed with. I was like, and I tried to look for them.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Carolina game, and I agreed. Like, there's not much there to at least have problem. There are a bunch of bad teams in the NFL, but like, for example, the Dolphins. I'm happy about that win, but hey, I don't expect them to do well this year. But hey, they've got some promise with this defense, right? There's a lot of pieces that teams have to look forward to. Atlanta, I don't know. I'm really just unclear about this team. And it just goes to show you how, demoralizing a Super Bowl loss can be. And I'm still convinced, as much as people will deny it, same thing with the Seahawks. That Super Bowl loss, I think, took a big hit on this team. They've definitely seen all these memes. They've definitely seen all the slander, right, of blowing leads. It gets to people, right? These are humans too, right? Athletes are humans too. So I think that's another thing. I know people will think it's a weird take by me, but that's why I said I don't think Matt Ryan will ever win a Super Bowl with Atlanta again. And I don't know about Russell Wilson, but as of right now, I'm really not sure if he wins one with the Seahawks again. We'll see. He's looking really good right now, but I just think those type of losses really can hurt a franchise.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think a day goes by where Dan Quinn or any of these players just forget it. It's always just going to be something
that could have been.
Yeah.
How can you forget something you've looked forward to your entire life, and you had it right there, and it went away like that? But I would also argue that was the most important or the biggest Super Bowl of all time. It was a big one. But look, the Falcons need to rebuild, and it started to look like that after their first couple losses this year, because you're right, and I said this a couple weeks ago, they don't have a lot of young pieces. They've got Calvin Ridley as a receiver on offense, Deion Jones, who's often injured, Keanu Neal, who's often injured.
Don't get me started. I love that guy, but dude,
their 3 best players over the last couple of years, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Alex Mack, center, are all over 30. It's hard to grow with an old core, and when you don't hit on draft picks and you don't have super high draft picks, you don't have young pieces, and the Falcons don't. And it looks like they're just cutting their losses now and going into rebuild mode and finally accepting it, getting Quinn and Dimitroff out of the way.
Wait, was this Jack's Super Bowl 54 pick?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on.
Wasn't it?
But it looks like they're cutting their losses early and just going into the rebuild. I don't know what to look. There's going to be a lot of cuts to this team. This team's going to look a lot different.
I don't know, because I still think he's a top 10 quarterback.
No, I think Matt Ryan gets moved. Yeah.
But who's going to trade for him? His cap hit is so high, and he's so old.
You might have to let him go.
Yeah. it's going to be rough. Falcons fans, as if you haven't had enough pain already, get ready for some more. It's going to be a rough one, but at least you're happy that Dan Quinn's out of the way. I mean, it's going to be a rough road for Falcons fans. So strap in, the rebuild's starting, and we'll see where you go from here. But moving on to our next topic, Shrikar, I'll let you get started on this one. Really a stinker in Santa Clara. The Niners lost to the Dolphins in embarrassing fashion, and Jimmy Garoppolo looked terrible. So they benched him. They said it was to protect him. Are you buying that, or do you think it was something more?
Well, first of all, I'll say that loss to the Dolphins was definitely one of the worst losses I've had to experience as a Niner fan. Mainly just because the disappointment. And I won't go into the whole Niners game right now because we got one player to talk about right now, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. When you decide to put him in the game, when you take him out at halftime to protect himself, I think the best way of protecting him would have been if you just didn't start him at all. So I think it's kind of a cover-up, and I don't think Kyle and Jimmy are on the same page at all. And that doesn't mean that we're going to move on from Jimmy, because a high ankle sprain that's very impactful on a quarterback, on any player, really. We saw it happen to CMC too. So I think we got to wait. I'm probably going to wait about 10 games to get like a solid read on Jimmy, because this is going to be a pretty damn tough stretch. So really, if he continues to disappoint me, and if he continues to show that he's a system quarterback of sorts where like he just can't make the right reads, if you take away his first read, then he's just kind of a sitting duck in the pocket doing spin moves to avoid sacks. So it's like, is it all the injury? No, I don't think so. I think his confidence is really low. I think that Super Bowl loss did something to him, because obviously he was the scapegoat. And, you know, some Niner fans will say that, oh, he got injured during the Super Bowl, hasn't been the same since. I don't believe that one bit. I mean, you cannot chalk that up as an excuse. So really, I need to get a better read on Jimmy. But look, this is pretty significant. You pull him to protect himself, but really, like, if you really wanted to protect him, you wouldn't have started him in the first place.
Yeah, I think.
You want to go?
Yeah, I've said for a while I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo. The reason for that is I just don't think he's a game changer. I don't think he wins you very many games throughout the year. I think that he does well when he's got a good defense and when his team runs the ball well. Look, he did not carry this team to the playoffs. He got carried by a running attack to the playoffs, or to the Super Bowl. And so, in my opinion, he's not a game-changing quarterback. And if you don't have a game-changing quarterback, it's hard for me to validate you having a franchise quarterback. Because why would you want to build your franchise around someone who's not going to go out and win you games consistently himself?
But he does win games consistently.
He wins the games, but obviously when they can't run the ball like they were able to last year, especially in the playoffs, look what's happened. They're 2-3?
Yeah.
And so, look, I don't believe a franchise quarterback is a guy that hands the ball off and he's able to win you games just off that. You may be able to get away with that for a season, but eventually teams will figure out that and they'll make your quarterback make plays. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I do not believe, is that guy who, for a franchise for multiple years, for a long period of time, is going to be that quarterback for the Niners. So I don't believe he was benched to protect him. I believe he was benched because he was playing terribly, because those picks were brutal. But look, I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's this franchise's future. Maybe we get a couple more years of him, but I'm not buying it. And I don't think they were trying to protect him.
So hopefully my take ends this segment here, but here's what I'm going to say. First off, I find it very ironic that Shrikar and I made an episode on this, and now we're really discussing about the Niners. Yeah. Hopes for next year, because here's what I think we kind of brushed off Miami. And I'm brushing off the team that I was high on coming into the year, one of my sleeper teams. And they looked really good. This defense is very promising. And I told Jack that I told you the pickups would gel. I thought they were very underrated pickups. They're looking good. Should have picked them, but you know what? It is what it is. I had a little bit of faith in this Niners team. And here's what I'll say about Jimmy Garoppolo. I will still defend him a little bit because, Jack, I know you say he's not a winner, but here's what I say. If you make the plays to win a game, you don't have to be a game changer. But if you make the plays to win, it gets a pass in my book. And you know what? I think Shrikar, when you say he needs more to prove, I mean, what about the last 26 games? I mean, he's had enough time to prove himself. So if Niner fans aren't convinced still,
I'm just saying because of the injury.
I mean, come on. But like,
it's a high ankle sprain.
Okay, versus a torn ACL, and he came back and had one of the better seasons last year. So I mean,
He had time to rest though.
I don't know what to say about Jimmy G. I mean, Shrikar, I don't know what you're getting at with it. I mean, do you want to keep him?
I'll say this. That's what I just don't know. I just need I need a better read on him after the injury.
Niners and I'm 2-3 right now, right? A lot of my playmakers are injured for the rest of the season. I mean, hella guys on
IR. I'm not going to tank.
No, I'm not saying tank.
And I may not even look at a quarterback in this draft, low key.
That's what I'm saying. So if they're 2-3 and they've got I think they've by far got the hardest schedule in the next 7 games. So, I mean,
going into this draft, there are bigger needs on the roster than quarterback. You got cornerback, in the draft. You got not defensive line, interior offensive line. It's just more pressing needs than quarterback. I don't know why we take a quarterback in round 1, especially if we don't have.
I wouldn't recommend it, but there could be a guy in the second round that you take. I mean, this team. There's a lot of questions with this team right now. And you know what? I think also there should be a little bit on Kyle Shanahan. I agree though. Here's the thing, Shanahan. If you don't play Jimmy G though, Niner fans would be very pissed off if they would have lost that game. They would have been like, "Why didn't you play him?" So it works both ways. I think that in the end of the day, they did make the right decision in playing him. Because if they didn't, and they lost, then Niner fans would have been like, what if, right? So I think I would rather have my quarterback be out there, the guy that could make plays, especially after the Philly loss with about.
But who really knows how healthy he was?
Huh?
But who really knows how healthy he was?
So if he doesn't play, right, and they play the Dolphins and they lose, and they're 2-3 with the schedule coming up, Niner fans are going to question why they didn't put their star quarterback in, or not star quarterback, their starting quarterback in, the guy that they paid franchise money to, if he could have played. I guarantee you Niner fans would think that, and I guarantee you every Niner fan would be wondering at this very moment what would have happened if Jimmy G played. I guarantee that.
And at the end of the season, if they're a game away from the playoffs,
no question about it.
Why didn't we play him against Miami? Yeah. And that's why we missed.
Question. So I would much rather have played him, live with the consequences, but at least you had your quote-unquote franchise guy out there. And here's the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's what I'll say. It's a perfect example. Is he a franchise guy? Jack says no. I'm still iffy. Shrikar obviously doesn't. I mean, I think you're completely 50-50. Yeah, so – but I will err on the side of I think next year when they get all their pieces back, I still think he can make enough plays to win. I'll keep it. I'll keep it for now. I'll keep my stock in Jimmy G, but again, it could definitely be lowered. But again, to your point, Shrikar, I think you're completely wrong there. I think they should have gone in with Jimmy Garoppolo. Niner fans would have been very, what if this type of thing. And if this is a bad loss for you guys, oh my God, you have no idea what you've been missing. I mean, Jack and I, all the losses that we've had to endure as fans of our teams, just spoiled Niner fans. I swear. No, I'm just kidding. But moving on, another, dazzling quarterback, a guy that I don't know. Jack is acting like we were low on him. Jack is acting like the world bet against this dude, even though he bet against.
There were a lot of people that believed he would be a bust.
Yeah, whatever. We didn't believe it. I think we all were high on Herbert, but I guess Jack was the highest. So props to you, man. But he looked spectacular, even though Jack didn't pick him. And Mike Badgley, if you hit the kick, I would have picked
Money Badger, bro.
But you know what? Whatever. I guess Chargers find ways to lose again. And you know what? That'll kind of get me into the Justin Herbert take if you guys don't mind me starting.
Sure.
4 touchdowns, again, the Monday Night Football record. But, I saw this on Coward on his show today. I mean, can this franchise, right? Like, can this franchise help him? Because Jack has also said it too, and I think you got it from Coward. Like, it's where quarterbacks start, right? I mean, Sam Darnold, we still don't even know what he is. As much as I hate him, or hate on him, we don't know what he is. I mean, and, guys that go in better systems, guys that are picked later in the draft, we're seeing this type of thing, right? Like Patrick Mahomes was picked by a team that traded up for him, right, who was a very good system coming in, and he learned behind one of the better quarterbacks in our league, a guy who doesn't make mistakes, a guy who's very conservative, and that's perfect for a raw prospect with a big arm who made mistakes in college. I mean, it's honestly where you start, especially for quarterbacks who are taken later versus quarterbacks who come in, you're expecting a steady progression. So a guy like Justin Herbert, I'm expecting a steady progression, but I didn't expect this. I mean, not rookie year. I mean, doing this. So this is very good, but again, Chargers find ways to lose. This is what I was saying, right? When Phillip Rivers left, I thought this team was finally going to get over this, finding ways to lose. I mean, I think they're 3-13 in their last 16 games decided by one possession. 3-13, dude. Is that Anthony Lynn? I really don't know. Is Anthony Lynn the guy for this?
Really.
This is the same team that 10 years ago was first in offense, first in defense, and their special teams literally prevented them from making the playoffs. That's all I got to say about Chargers. Justin Herbert can do whatever he wants, and he looked tremendous. Even without Keenan Allen, I'm convinced they win that game with Allen. I'm convinced they win. Should have won the game anyway with Mike Batchley, but that throw to Mike Williams. I'll give you context for it for people who maybe didn't see the play. It's a 3rd and 5. It's really a gamble because if you don't make it, 14 seconds, you give Drew Brees the ball back. Who knows what could have happened? But I thought I saw the matchup, right? A 6'5" Mike Williams on a Marshawn Lattimore who was having an iffy game. And you know what? You take that chance, and that was one of the best throws I've seen from a rookie quarterback in a while. He put it perfectly for a guy. He knew his receiver, what he can do, what his strengths are, how he can get the ball, and he timed it perfectly right over the head. So I think with Justin Herbert, he's more than a raw prospect. I've never seen a quarterback taken this high come in and light it up like that. Same with my homeboy and Lamar. They took a year, but this dude is doing. We're seeing it. I can't believe we're seeing a quarterback do it this early. And you know what? He could steal Burrow's spotlight and win Rookie of the Year.
And do you think that Mike Williams, when we reach the end of the season, do you think that Mike Williams will know him as the guy that was Herbert's go-to guy rather than Keenan Allen or Hunter Henry?
They play roles. Again, Mike Williams is that deep threat. He had to become a number one against the Saints when he needed to, and he stepped up. And we've seen him make a ton of key plays. Against the Chiefs 2 years ago. But again, Keenan Allen is a borderline top 10 receiver, and I would rather have him, get the bigger target share. That's what.
And what's funny is we have it noted in the doc. It says Justin Herbert sets rookie records in a vintage Chargers loss, and usually we'd say vintage, a vintage Drew Brees win, a vintage Saints win, a vintage Chargers loss. That just goes to show how the Chargers can literally, they have a specific vintage style of losing. And I'm sorry, but Chargers fans, if there are any of you out there,
however many there are,
look, I feel for you guys, but really, it's just Justin Herbert he's really shined so far. Is he better than Burrow so far? I'd say so, but we'll see how the season progresses. Because Burrow has had, I guess, in a way, less to work with on offense.
It's his O-line.
His O-line is
on pace
terrible.
For 70, allowing 70 sacks. 70 sacks.
I'm praying he doesn't get hurt.
Herbert has 2 of his O-linemen injured too. So, but yeah.
But I'm praying Burrow doesn't get hurt behind that O-line. But Herbert, he's the real deal. He's the real deal to me. And it really kind of spoke volumes through that Chiefs game. You keep up with Patrick Mahomes, and of course the next week I think they lose to Carolina. So that kind of lowers your expectations a bit, but then you kind of go toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. Now you're going toe-to-toe with Drew Brees. This guy's looking like the real deal for me.
Yeah, and he was a raw prospect coming out, and it really, like I've said before, it takes the right team to draft a raw prospect. The Chargers were that right team. They were a good team, and they had one bad year, and they're in a spot to draft that prospect, and they do. They have 2 good weapons. They have a good –
I kind of disagree with that. Well, finish your take. I'll tell you why. But
so they've got 2 great wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who we've mentioned. They've got Hunter Henry, who when he's on the field is a great tight end. They have Austin Eckler, who's a reliable pass-catching back, and they went out in free agency and they signed a tackle, and they have the coach in place without a lot of change, and they've got a good defense. They're the right team to draft a raw prospect, and they were going to let him sit for a year, which is what it takes. Obviously, he got thrust into a situation. And he's proven that he can make plays, which apparently, according to Anthony Lynn earlier in the year, he's a backup for a reason. But obviously, he's proven that wrong. I believe the Chargers were the right team to draft Herbert. That's why I love the selection. Maybe other teams draft him and he does not play as well. Maybe he goes to the Jaguars and he starts week 1 and he doesn't do anything, and maybe his career fizzles out like we've seen with possibly Sam Darnold and Dwayne Haskins, and even Daniel Jones possibly. Keep an eye out for that. But it's to draft a Ross prospect, you need the right pieces in place. The Chargers had those right pieces, which, you look at the Bears with Mitch Trubisky, they weren't able to get it done there. We've seen what happened. Dwayne Haskins in Washington already looks like he's lost his job forever. And we don't know what's going to happen with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. The Chargers were the right team to draft Justin Herbert, and you're seeing that pay off.
I think I'm 50-50 on that because it goes both ways. Yeah, they have the players, but the front office. So why is Herbert doing well? Why is he 1-4? He's 1-4, right? Oh no, he's 0-4 as a starter. He hasn't won a game yet.
I don't think so.
So that's a little bit concerning to me, right? So he's playing well, but he's not winning. So that's no, he's a rookie, so it's promising, right? So I'll give him a pass, right? And that's what I'm saying, expecting a progression. So while he's playing good, now he's going to start to make plays to win, and which he's already done. But again, it comes down to the team. So again, there are teams also have a persona and a given outlook on the rest of the NFL. Like, people know the Chargers find ways to lose. It's been consistent throughout. Like I said, throughout the 2000s, they had one of the most loaded rosters anyway. I mean, LaDainian Tomlinson, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, they always had that big three, and their defense was always pretty solid. Never made the Super Bowl, right? So there's always this thing with whether they're in LA or San Diego, the Chargers have always found ways to make mistakes, and we see it here. How are they 0-4 with a guy who has literally gone toe-to-toe with three of the most iconic quarterbacks in the league today, or of all time, honestly? I mean, Breeze, Brady, and my homeboy. I mean, that is very impressive. But that's where I'm iffy on it, because if this Chargers team, I don't know about Anthony Lynn. I'm still up and down. 2018, I was so sold on him. I was very I think he won Coach of the Year that year. If I'm not mistaken. I mean, he was really good that year. But 2019, what happened, right? Like in 2018, I feel like it was a bit of an anomaly too, just because they won a lot of close games that year. The year they went 12-4. But now we're seeing it again. Herbert is yet to win a game, so that's a little bit concerning to me. I'm high on Herbert, and I was high on him with Jack because he kind of sold me on him in the offseason. But that's a little bit concerning too. The Chargers just don't handle situations well in the final 2 minutes. I just don't know why. I mean, it's terrible to watch, but they've got something here. They've got a diamond in the rough.
Well, I think they handled this last 2 minutes. They handled that about as well as they could. They literally gave their kicker a chance to win the game. I believe Herbert is 2-2 if a ball goes one way as opposed to the other. If Eckler catches the hook and ladder, they win that game. If Badgley hits the kick this week, they win that game. So I believe he's 2-2, but also
no. You can't believe it.
No, I can't either. He's still 0-4, but look, he's put his team in position to win games, which as a rookie is difficult, and as a rookie going against Mahomes, Brady, and Breeze is even more difficult. So I've been impressed.
And he's kept it close.
So that's where the progression comes in, right? Yep. So now we'll see him have bigger leads coming into the fourth rather than being down or having it be a lot more close.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And then moving on to our last takeaway and another quarterback. Look, it was unbelievable to see Alex Smith on the field again after what happened a couple years ago. After that injury, the one that looked eerily similar to Joe Theismann's, I did not think Alex Smith was going to touch a football field again. And he came out and he did that this weekend. It was one of the truly amazing things I've seen in all of sports, and just unbelievable story. So I'll give the floor to you guys. I was amazed by Alex Smith.
I can go here, but look, this segment just admiration and support for one of the toughest guys I've ever seen in the NFL. Did I expect to see him play against the Rams? No, I didn't expect it at all. And the football team lost. Smith was pretty poor statistically, but really, who cares? This is really just about, I guess, overcoming your personal demons, and just it's about the triumph of the human spirit, just the will to endure. Because Smith almost lost his whole leg, and he somehow made it all the way back. So if Smith never throws another pass, never completes another ball, I think his story is one of the all-time greats when it comes to football.
So here's what I'll say. I've followed this story a lot more than most. I've watched the entire documentary. I've watched many videos on it, because when I saw that Redskins team, I go back to it because it was 2018. I was very high on that team. They were 6-3, and I thought, guys, this could be a playoff team. I was telling a lot of my friends that, and then I see that go down. One of the most gruesome injuries I've seen on field. And here's what I'll say. I mean, Shrikar, forget the leg. It was fatal. I mean, he could have actually lost his life. He had 17 surgeries on it, and he had multiple infections that essentially could have gone up his body. So there was a lot to go. I'm not going to get into all the specifics of the sciencey stuff, but just know that this injury was so bad that the amount of surgeries it took just to get the leg just to get basically the veins and all the blood to heal, or like just to get the leg back in place, was amazing, and all the therapy that he had to go through, and the fact that he's even trying to play football. I mean, it's like, go back on the field, and then to play against Aaron Donald. And when I'm telling you, when he got sacked, I was
terrified.
Fearing. I can't even imagine his wife and kids at the game. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell you guys. I remember on the chat, but like, I think kudos to him for obviously pulling this off. And, he started off the game 8 for 11, typical fashion, for 36 yards, the most Alex Smith stat I've ever seen. But you know what? It's amazing that he can play. And you know what? I think he can maybe win a couple games. I mean, he got his feet wet a little bit, literally, because it was a pretty damn wet field that day. But yeah, this is kudos to him. Kyle Allen was also playing well. They were actually looking pretty good in the first half. With Washington football team, I don't really know what to say with them. And also with this Rams team, I'm a little bit to say about them. Their 4 wins are against the NFC least. So, while they are a top 10 team in most power rankings, just keep that in mind. But kudos to Alex Smith. And again, if you guys didn't watch the documentary or any of the videos, please do. I really recommend it. It's one of the greatest stories I've ever seen.
And if I were an NFL voter and I get to vote for the NFL honors at the end of the year, no matter what, I'd throw a comeback player of the year voted Alex Smith. I mean, look, complete respect to Cam Newton for coming back and doing what he's done.
Yeah.
Look, he's not gonna be a better candidate for the award than Cam Newton is. But in my eyes, look, he is the definition of a comeback player. And
similar to Eric Berry with the cancer, except Eric Berry, I think, but he did play really well too.
He did. And look, if Alex Smith starts the rest of the year, I'm picking him to win comeback player of the year. No shame in that. It is the most admirable thing I've seen in a while. One of the greatest sports stories I've witnessed. And congratulations to Alex Smith for finding his way back onto a football field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that'll round out this episode of our Week 5 takeaways. We're gonna have Week 6 picks coming to you guys soon.
Jets still winless.
Yeah, they are. Hey, but we'll see what happens with that team. They just released Le'Veon Bell. It's a complete crap show over there. But we'll figure it out with them, and we'll figure it out with our Week 6 picks coming to you guys soon. Thank you guys so much for watching our Week 5 takeaways. Make sure to go follow our socials down in the description, including our website, our Twitter, and our Instagram. Make sure you like and subscribe so you get and hit the notification bell so you get notified when there's new content out. And go down in the comment section and let us know how we can improve our content and what you guys want to see. We also had a giveaway on our Instagram. We'll shout out the winners right here. Go follow them and tell them that Cold Hard Truth sent you. But I mean, that's all we have for this week. Week 6 coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode.